If I'm honest, like before I did the podcast, obviously when I started the main podcast, I got a lot of it was just like trolling, like, oh, like, how do you know what you're talking about? You don't know. Like, they would literally pick I would say something completely factual and correct, and they would pick like any specific like thing just to pick at for no reason, just to try and prove a point that obviously like women don't know their stuff about football. I think it's what is offensive to me is like when you sort of give an opinion out, and just like Elena just said, when people like men are like, oh, so you do actually know like football, and it's like, well, yeah, like I watch exactly the same things you do. I'm not watching a completely different stream. Like, I'm not watching a completely different type of game because I'm a woman. Like, I'm watching exactly what you are watching. I'm hearing what you're hearing. I see the stats that you see. There's absolutely nothing different about how my view is compared to yours.
And what's happening, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Everyone's a Pundit. This is episode 48. And for the first time in 48 episodes, I have two ladies with me. So I'm honored and pleased to be joined by Kendall and Elena. Kendall's representing the Toon side, Newcastle, and we've also got North London representative in Elena for Spurs. Can you introduce yourself, please, Kendall?
Yes, I'm Kendall Rowan on Twitter for anyone who cares. Newcastle fan for all my life. For my sins, clearly I was something bad in my past life. But we won't go into that. So yeah, Geordie through and through.
Brilliant. And Elena?
Yeah, I'm Elena Nicola_XO on Twitter, if anyone cares as well. Yeah, been a Spurs fan all my life. I blame my dad. He put me in this trophyless life. Hopefully about to change that though. So yeah.
Wicked. We'll get into that. Oh my gosh. I'm getting interrupted there. Apologies, people.
I'm used to that. Mine's downstairs with my granddad. So
they should be in their bed. I don't know what is going on.
You know, I'm used to it.
If you're listening, please share about with your people. This will also be up on YouTube. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. And I will also have these ladies' social media links up on the description, so you can go and follow them. Please go and follow them. I've been following Kendall more recently. I've been following Eleanor for a while. And the reason why I wanted to have some ladies on here today is because I think it's important, because, you know, growing up, it's just always men. But now football is changing. And you guys are not young in the sense that you're not 10, 15 years old. You've obviously been following football for a while. So I think it's now being highlighted based on social media that, you know what, there are actually a lot of female football fans out there, which is not something that us guys, if I'm being honest, generally come across. So, but when you do go to games, you do see it. But, you know, I wanted to get you guys' views on here today. So yeah, thank you for coming. Hope you enjoy it.
Thanks for having me.
Brilliant. So you know what, let's start over at Newcastle, Kendall, because you know you're very outspoken in your views of some of your players in the management.
You sound like this is a great area.
Eleanor, don't worry, we're coming to you and what's happened to you as well. But yeah, Kendall, your thoughts on Steve Bruce, because, you know, he was employed by your club. And I know me personally, I thought it was, and I was on camera, it was actually when I started this whole YouTube thing, as I was on there saying, for me, Steve Bruce just equals championship football. So you guys are probably going to go straight back down. But he guided you to a comfortable finish in the end. What's your thoughts on Steve Bruce?
For me, yeah, I completely agree on the championship football sort of thing. I don't think in terms of like football how it is now, in terms of like managers like Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, for example, just people like that. I don't think he's a very progressive manager. He's openly admitted in the past that he's not a tactician. He doesn't rely on tactics, which is in this day and age of football, in modern football, tactics are massively important. Now the way teams set up, so he's constantly negative. He always plays negative football. He rides a lot on luck as well, which is obviously, looking at it from the outside, if you're not a Newcastle fan, you think, oh, they finished 13th, they're fine, like what can they really mourn about? They're that sort of level of team now. And it's not progressive. Like we always finish like mid bottom of the table now. So well, obviously we finished 10th with Rafa 2 years before, so we know it can be done, and we've got a stronger squad now. So for me, obviously, more should be done. He lately has been, blaming the fans for certain things, saying that he doesn't understand why we don't get what he's trying to do, and constantly blaming Rafa, saying like, oh, we've reverted to tactics that we've used in the past because that's all the team knows, which it's not really true, because obviously we've had about 6 or 7 new signings since Rafa Benitez left. So really the team that he's got is a lot of it's pretty brand new. So hopefully this season it's his time, as a lot of Newcastle fans have been saying, it's his time now to put a stamp on the team that he wants, if he even has a stamp. I don't even know if Steve Bruce does. I mean, he's got less than a 40% win rate over his whole Premier League career, which spans 20 years. Football and managing career, I meant to say. So yeah, it doesn't look good. I don't think he's the man to take us forward. If we get a takeover, which is a big if, obviously you've clearly seen it being played out in the media over the past year. If we get a takeover, I really hope that we don't keep him. He was 12th choice manager in the beginning when Rafa Benitez left. Steve Bruce was actually 12th choice on the list of managers that Mike Ashley wanted.
So how does it get down to you hiring the 12th manager? I need to understand that.
I think a lot of the time we don't have a pull, if that makes sense, to bring top managers in. So when like Rafa Benitez came, we were all shocked, because under a regime like the Mike Ashley regime, a lot of managers don't want to come because they know they don't have a lot of control over transfers. They don't have a lot of a big budget to manage with. So therefore we couldn't pull managers in like Jose Mourinho, like Allegri, like Pochettino. We just couldn't pull managers in like that under Mike Ashley. So I think it's obviously got to a point where Steve Bruce has been the only person to say, I'll take the job. He grew up in the area. He's apparently a boyhood Newcastle fan, which I don't quite believe, because he went and managed Sunderland and loved it whenever they played us. So to me that's strange, but I know he's quite a mercenary when it comes to managerial things, because I mean he managed Aston Villa and Birmingham, managed obviously Newcastle and Sunderland, so he's not a loyal sort of football manager. So I think it just boiled down to the point that he was the only one that openly agreed to take the position in that current state of what things were. So that's where we ended up, and that's where we are now with no takeover. So just gotta keep hoping that he tries and just does something.
I had Newcastle Fan TV up on here actually, just round about the time when the takeover seemed like it was going to happen, and it looked like it was going to happen. If I'm honest, I thought it was going to happen. They were, at the position where they've been hurt so many times, so they didn't want to say that it was going to happen, but deep down they thought this time it was going to happen. How did you feel when it all sort of went to pot, and where do you think that you possibly will get a takeover in the future, in the near future?
I was absolutely gutted because I think it had gone on for so long and we kind of knew it wasn't going to happen because we're always let down. And this time it had gone way further than any attempts in the past 10 years. It had gone way further. So we kind of had that little bit of hope, but it's always the hope that kills you because we thought it might happen and then it didn't in the end. Obviously things are still ongoing now. Legal proceedings are about to take place with Mike Ashley and his legal team against the Premier League. So whether or not it gets sorted before then. I know a lot of the owners that were involved, so which was Amanda Staveley, which was a businesswoman who was, you know, she was sort of spearheading the whole deal.
Yeah.
And her husband, they're still liking tweets on Twitter and stuff regarding the takeover happening. And I think a lot of the fans kind of feel that it's just like a little nod to say that it's still ongoing behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So whether it is or not, I don't know. With obviously the new proposed rules and stuff that have been put to light today, we want it to happen before then if it is going to. But yeah, life of Newcastle United is never easy and there's never much joy, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm not this time though. I've promised myself I'm not going to get involved in it because it genuinely ruins like your mental state around football because you're just constantly thinking about it. So I said I'm not getting involved in it this time. If it happens, if I see an official statement, that's when I'll believe it. If it doesn't, I'm not disappointed.
I hear you. And you know what the worst thing is Twitter. Twitter seems to be the worst place to be when things are going on. Something that you want to happen and it doesn't quite happen. It can send you crazy. If we was to sort of segue in to transfers, because I know we've all probably been looking at Twitter regarding transfers. And I'm going to come back to you as well, Kendall, to talk about the business that Newcastle have done and where you see yourselves going this year. But Eleanor, what's your views on your owner? Because obviously we know what Kendall's views are on Mike Ashley. How do you see yourself with Daniel Levy and also now regarding the business that you guys have done this window?
Well, if anyone knows me on Twitter, I was like one of the biggest like Enoch outers. Like I was like, Daniel Levy, Enoch, you've got to go. Like everyone's like, it's not Daniel Levy. And I'm like, he's just an Enoch puppet. Like he will literally he's just nodding along, plodding. He's not upset about the situation. He's not sitting there trying to get money off Joe Lewis. He's fine with it. He's got enough to give us more money and he doesn't. Yeah. So I was like, he's got to go. They've all got to go. We just need new owners. And then, obviously, we got Jose Mourinho. And the first thing I thought when we got Jose Mourinho is, okay, either we're trying to get sold, so trying to get the club as high profile as possible to sell, or they're actually changing their ethos and they are going to back him. Now, I was like, that's impossible. Like, they're never going to back him because if you look at our managers in the last decade, they've never been backed. Yeah. So I was like, there's no way that he's going to get backed. We're just trying to get sold. And I was like, well, to me, that's exciting as it is. So I was all for it at first. and then obviously this transfer window happened and it was Bale was going to go to you. And
no, he was never linked. I don't believe that really. For those of you that are new, because I've not got the top one, I'm a Man United fan. But no, I don't think he was.
And then we have obviously Sergio. We needed a left back, and he was going to go to you. And it was like, why aren't we getting these players? Like, this is Bale you're talking about, and we've got Ben Davis at left back. Like, we need a left back. And then he seems to have got backed. Now, I don't want to get ahead of myself. Like, I have been all like, oh, my chairman on Twitter. But, like, I don't want to get ahead of myself and say, yes, suddenly we're this team that's going to back our managers. Because it is a pandemic. We have spent about 60 million altogether.
Yeah,
not that much. It's not that much considering what we've got in.
Yeah.
So, on the owners, I still think we've got to give it another summer to see if he's actually going to start back in the team, or is it just taking advantage of the pandemic? The Bale situation gave it an easy way to get him. Like, it just seems like, have we got ambition now, or is it just a flash in the pan? That's your one good window. You ain't going to see another one for 20 years. Like, that's what I worry about. Like, is it going to be back to just getting like, the youngsters of the lot and hoping they improve? I just worry that we haven't really changed. But
Okay.
I like to hope we have, so we'll leave it there.
As an outsider looking in, Kendall, what does it look like from your perspective on the change of direction, if there has been, with Spurs?
Well, obviously, like, I love Jose Mourinho, and I'll genuinely never have a bad word to say about him, because he is like got a massive connection with Newcastle as well because of Sir Bobby. So like I love him, and like I honestly, like, I always follow him closely whenever he goes and manages anywhere. But yeah, obviously it's classic knowledge that Tottenham don't get like back in. Obviously that's why Pochettino had obvious issues and he didn't get the money to spend what he wanted to. And I do genuinely think that if he had more backing, that they would have been quite successful under him.
Yeah.
But obviously they've got Mourinho, they've got a top class manager again. Some people say he's finished. I really don't think that he is. You've had a great start of the season. So fingers crossed it goes for them, because I really don't mind like a team like Tottenham doing well. Like, it really doesn't bother me, because obviously it's a new name to add to the mix when you have the classic top six, and obviously they're involved, but they haven't had as much success as other, top teams have. So it really doesn't bother me. I really feel like I wish we had some success in that respect. But yeah, I think it looks good with under Bale, and hopefully Bale can go back to his old self. But obviously he hasn't played domestic football consistently for a long time, so that'll be something to watch, I guess.
So with the Bale signing, I think in terms of what it's done to the spirit of the Tottenham Football Club, it's been perfect. It came right at a time where things seemed to be quite low. You lost on the opening day to Everton, and you wanted to make signings. Everything was seeming a bit slow, and then the Bale and Reguilon deal just sort of lifted everybody. Because I've got a lot of Spurs friends who are fans, and what I would say is he's not played competitively at the highest level consistently for a long time now. So I do believe that we are all riding the Gareth Bale name rather than what we think he can still produce at 31, isn't he? Coming to the Premier League. It's going to be a different animal. If he is going to be required to play week in and week out, I don't think that's going to be possible. I do think he's going to be used as a squad player, come in certain games to help the team. But even that's not easy, because football players need minutes. They need consistency to sort of gain form. And I do worry at times that I think it might be a little bit difficult for him. What do you think on that, Elena?
Again, I think it's the lift of the club, like, is more important at the moment. Like, we needed that one like standout signing, like back in the day when we got like Klinsmann and through the door and stuff. Like, we needed that one standout signing to lift the club, because we were on a low after Everton. Like, we looked, honestly, I haven't seen Spurs look so dreadful since like the end of Poch days, like where we needed to sack him. Like, those times we looked honestly shocking, and I was like, this is not looking good. Like, we needed something to lift the fans, and I think, and the club and the players. I think the fact that it's Bale, I know that he's not got that same ability. He's coming in, obviously he's not going to be bombing down the wing like he was before. He's not going to be like running the whole pitch to score a goal, but he's got that experience. He has won things now. He's won things. He's got that experience. He can create as well. I feel like our creative players, like we have Ndombele and we have Lo Celso, but they weren't really creating that much. So I feel like he can make a pass. He's not required to run down the wings anymore. We're not expecting that from him. But like, just to have him in a lineup with Kane and Son is exciting in itself. Like, I think opposition, like teams are going to be like, well, we've got Kane, you've got Son, and now you've got Bale to mark. Like, it's a lot, and it's a lot on attacking threat. So I know that he's not going to be the same player, but I think the lift it's given us enough to be excited about him. And I don't think he'll play week in, week out, but I do think it's going to be hard to bench Gareth Bale for Lucas Moura. Like, I don't think that's the wisest the wisest option to go down. But I do think he will get rest, and it's amazing to have a Tottenham team with a bit of depth. So, and depth in one of those players being Gareth Bale, I'm all for it. So,
do you think Jose can get the best out of the trio of Bale, Son, and Kane with the likes of Ndombele and Lo Celso in the team, as well as possibly a Højbjerg? Because I know I think you wasn't too excited about Jose yourself, was you know?
all right, we're getting into that already. I was a very skeptical, if we're going to be polite,
Yeah.
about Jose Mourinho. I was very much like, I saw what he did to United at the end of United, and it felt like we didn't get the Jose Mourinho that won everything everywhere. It felt like we got end of United Mourinho. That's the feel I got when he came. Like, the beginning was great, and it's like a new manager bounce. I expect that, and then we had that game against you lot, and then we had the game against Chelsea, and it was shocking performance-wise. I don't expect to win every game, but I expect with the players he had to show a bit more.
A bit more, yeah.
So, but then towards the end, we played Arsenal, and then we played Leicester, and it was getting a bit better, like the football-wise. And right now, I'm like, I was so wrong. He needed his team, and he's got 6 signings through the door, and it seems like you cannot complain. If you're complaining now, you've got an agenda, because he's playing good football, he's getting the results. It seems like everyone is on board to win a trophy for once. Like, their focus is on silverware, and it's not just on let's finish top 4. And for once, I feel like it's actually him doing that. Whereas I didn't with Poch. Like, I love Poch. Like, I think he's a fantastic manager, but I do think he obviously did prioritize league positions, and I think that is what the board prioritized at the time. They were never like, go win an FA Cup, go win a trophy. So I think with Jose Mourinho and him getting the players he wants, he's installing this winning mentality. And I'm fully like behind that, because I feel like what he said after the Newcastle game, there are clubs out there, someone's club out there that are respected by the officials, and they see them as big clubs. But Tottenham is a big club, but he's not treated like a big club. And I totally agreed with what he said. And I feel like he's going to be that person to change the perception, like Ferguson did to United, like change the perception of United. I want Jose Mourinho to change the perception of Tottenham. Like, we are a big club. We do deserve respect. And we're not a little club that you can just push around anymore. And I think he's the right man to do that.
That's one thing I would say about Jose Mourinho is that he has come in, and he's you can see it clearly. He's trying to change the mentality of the whole club. Do you know what I mean? And and as well as the players, because I don't know if you've watched All or Nothing. I've only watched a couple of episodes, but I do recall him talking about, you need to be angry, you need to use the other word, and he's saying that these lot are too nice. So bringing in somebody like Bell also, who, as you said, is a winner, has won Champions Leagues and all of that stuff. So that can only benefit Spurs. One thing I would just say is that it was all rosy in the first season at United. People do forget that it wasn't all doom and gloom. At United, we won the Europa League first season, we won the League Cup, and I'm pretty sure we went on, especially in the beginning, I think we won our first few games and we were near the top. It was all nice. So just watch that space. I've said enough on Jose, so I'm not going to say any more, because I'm looking quite silly out here. But so let me not say too much more. But at the moment, Spurs are looking really good. And as a Man United fan, it's hurting because we're looking poor. You lot are looking good, and I wish the roles were reversed.
Sacked him for Ollie, so
yeah. If we was to move on to the business that Newcastle have done, because again, Kendall, you're in a position where you don't quite like your owners, don't quite like the manager, but you're 4-4 at the beginning of the season in terms of the goals that Callum Lewis has scored. What do you think about that signing and the business that you've done this window?
Yeah, to be fair, it was quite surprising because we're pretty much known for not spending anything when we love a loan signing. Obviously Mike Ashley doesn't dig too deep in his pockets very often because when it happens, we end up getting a dud like Joe Linton for 40 million. But yeah, I was really, really glad to get Callum Wilson. Like I was so glad because for a striker of his caliber, I know like people say, oh, he's 28, he's at the sort of end of his peak of his career now, but for me to get a signing like that for our team at the time, he's exactly what we needed, and for him to score as many goals as he has so far, hopefully he can only continue that. And 20 million for a striker in this day and age who is going to score goals is pretty much nothing. And then obviously we spent 15 million on Jamal Lewis as well. He had a good couple of, like the first 2 games, he looked really decent, especially against West Ham. And then he's kind of gone a bit off track. I don't know. He was playing out of position when we played against Brighton.
Yeah. Which
left us really open at the back. And then like St. Maximin sort of had to track back a lot. And as anyone knows who watches football, St. Maximin's hasn't got a defensive bone in his body, to be fair. So
he shouldn't need to, just let him do what he wants.
He shouldn't need to, exactly. So that left. So he's kind of a bit, I was so glad to get him at the time as well because I think he's a fantastic young talent. So we'll see how he turns out, to be honest, because it's kind of on the fence a little bit. And then we did really pretty much decent business in getting Hendrick and Fraser on a free. We can't really complain about that at all. Both proven Premier League players. Might not be massive world beaters, but for where we were as a team at the time, they were great signings and they've both done pretty well. So, and obviously Fraser and Callum Wilson will link up from the Bournemouth times. So it looks pretty good so far. Everyone's settled in pretty well. So just keep going from there, really. And I hope we obviously didn't do any more business before the window closed. I would have liked to assign probably 3 more players, but that's been greedy. Even if we just took advantage, we had 2 loan spaces in the squad. Yeah. So even if we just took advantage of loan spaces, I would have been really happy. There was people like Ross Barkley, which I wish we'd signed. Obviously Ruben Loftus-Cheek, he's gone to Fulham. There was a couple of players that I would have liked to have taken on loan, but it didn't happen, and beggars can't be choosers, I suppose. So I'll be happy with what we get.
Those 2 players you've mentioned, I think those would have been good upgrades to your squad, and I think they're Newcastle type of players. Do you know what I mean? As
Absolutely.
Newcastle, we've talked about Spurs, but being a big club and not really getting the respect. You know, Newcastle are a big club as well. Do you know what I mean? And a player like them going there wouldn't do their reputation any disservice. So yeah, it's one of those things. I suppose it would have been good to get them in, but yeah, the signings that you have made are good. What would your ambitions be for this season then? As you said, you've not really seen the progressive side of it throughout the last however many years, but would you think that you could progress further this season now with those signings?
I really do hope so. On paper, our squad is a lot better. I mean, the depth's not as where I want it to be, but we have got improvements and you can't really complain about that. For me, like, it sounds stupid because I don't know if, like, obviously you know, not being in the Newcastle fan world, but we always get told that we expect too much as Newcastle fans and like our expectations are too high and like we think we're better than we are. But that's not true. Like, because for me, like 10th, I would be happy with 10th. I would be over the moon with 10th, in fact, because we have been such like a mid-bottom table for such a long time, and 10th would actually show that we had progressed. So 10th would be like, I'll be happy with that, I'll be fine. Obviously with the way things go, and we're looking like that could be possible, and we're in the quarterfinals of the League Cup as well already. So if we can get to the League Cup final, I'll be over the moon, because I have not seen that I haven't seen us win a trophy, like obviously aside from the Championship, since, well, a real trophy, I have never seen us win. I've only ever seen us win the Intertoto Cup in like 2006. Like, so that is like years ago, and that was like, it was a nothing. So for me, even to get to the League Cup final this year, that is going to be so hard. But I will be, and I know pretty much 99% of Newcastle fans as well would be over the moon with that.
Well, don't worry, Kendall, because you know, our partner in crime, Eleanor, hasn't seen her team win much either, to be honest. So that was a cheap shot. I apologize. What's your ambitions now, Eleanor, for your season? Because you've got Jose Mourinho, you've got 6 top quality signings. Well, I say top quality, it's top quality in the sense that you plugged the holes that you needed. You needed a right back, you got a right back. You needed a left back, you got a left back. Defensive midfielder, Højbjerg is busy. He's a bit of a nuisance. So that's a good signing.
I thought he was. I was like, he's so average. We should be going for Zachariah from Gladbach.
Yeah.
I was like, as a DM, like I thought that's the sort of person we should be going for, not Højbjerg. But oh my God, has he made me eat my words? He is just solid. Like, he's not going to do anything fancy, but he's going to do his job and protect the back line.
Yeah.
And I just think he's exactly what we needed. And he's really taken a lot of strain off the back line because, let's be face it, like, we're quite weak in the back. So
yeah, you've got some issues there. And I'm guessing a centre back, I'm sure Jose would have liked to have brought in a centre back this window as well.
I also think he doesn't want to drop Eric Dyer. So
loves him. He wanted to bring him at Man United.
Well, what there is there, but there's definitely some sort of long lost connection in Portugal there.
But you know what? A good friend of mine who is a Spurs fan said at the beginning of the season, he was like, you know what, Lee, watch out for Dyer. This is going to be Dyer's year. He's a centre back. He's finally going to get to play in his position. Again, he's backtracked now, saying, you know what, I don't think Dyer's ready. But maybe that's what Jose was hoping for.
Lampard. He wants to make him his Frank Lampard, where like they're best buds and it's like his child. But like, I don't think he's got the ability to do that, which is unfortunate. Which I do hope I'm wrong, but I think he's got everything else. Got the mentality. He's got the right mentality for Jose Mourinho. He's good like that. But I think he just doesn't have the ability.
He's not, and he's a bit of a liability as well. You can see the penalty he gave away tonight for England. We're recording this on Sunday night, people. So yeah. I don't know, but with everything that you have got, with Jose Mourinho in charge, Bale coming through, you've still got the likes of Son and Kane, as I said, and Ndombele, Lo Celso, I think are top players. What is the ambition? What would be a good season for Spurs now?
All right, so ask me before the season started and before we got players, I would have said top 4 and a cup run would be amazing, but I'm expecting just top 4 and just see what happens. Hope for top 4 as well. Like, we were outsiders if you think about the top 4 that did finish.
Of course,
we were so, like, challenge for top 4. But since the league has started, and I know it's very early days and what's happened, but the league looks pretty open this season. I would like a title challenge.
Make a note of that. Make a note. Title challenge.
No, so I think, and then a cup. I think the main thing would be win a trophy. Win any trophy. League Cup, Europa, FA Cup. Just win a trophy. Get us over the line so we can just put that to bed now. But I do think go for 3rd, 2nd challenge and then win a trophy, I think is a decent expectation, considering he's got 6 signings through the door in one window, more than any of our managers have been backed in a long time, and 6 decent signings, not like non-stop. Other than Joe Hart, but we'll just forget that.
I've not even noted him down.
He's a bit whatever, but other than that, he's got 5 signings that he can actually play in starting 11. If he's been backed and they are what we do believe that they are his first choices, then I do think we should be challenging, especially with how open it is at the moment. It's very early. And I do think we do have enough quality to win an FA Cup. I mean, Arsenal won an FA Cup and they were shocking last season. So we definitely have the team to win a trophy. So that I do expect that.
Okay. So I was with a Tottenham fan the other night. He said the same thing to me, title challenge. Kendall, again, outsider looking in, do you think a title challenge is ridiculous, or do you think realistic for Spurs?
I don't think it's ridiculous, because obviously in the past we've seen, look, Leicester won the league. So it's not entirely impossible considering the squad that Tottenham have and the manager that they've got. As both of you have said, Jose's got or Jose as he calls himself, has got a massive winner mentality. So and he's pretty much won silverware at every other club that he's been at. So it is highly possible. Obviously champions Liverpool, they've completely crumbled. So there's nothing stopping them. Now is the year to go for it with all this. It's an anomaly this year. I really don't know what's going on with football this year. It's broken. So yeah, there's nothing to stop Tottenham winning the trophy at all. I mean the league even.
Yeah, league even. Wow. You know, the thing is you mentioned
just hearing that, not gonna lie.
You feel good, yeah?
Yeah, because this is Tottenham we're talking about.
Well, look, before I was speaking to one of my mates before the United game, and which I thought we would lose, but he was saying, you know what, Spurs always get stage fright, and then he didn't think, and then look, he turned us over, and there does seem to be a difference. As I said, you've got the players now, so and like what Kendall says, Liverpool. Can we react to that 7-2 loss as maybe it's just a one-off, or do we think it is?
I'm sorry, Tottenham were absolutely demolished when we lost 7-2 to Bayern Munich. So I will absolutely demolish them just like they did to us.
Fair play. But it may only be one game. It may just be one game. I don't know. I'm not quite convinced. I thought Liverpool looked good before that game. But I don't think champions should be getting beat 7-2 even in a one-off game. So we're gonna have to watch this space.
And with goalkeeper situation, it's obviously it's open. So, and I think City have dropped off as well. I mean, I think Chelsea are going to be up there when they gel. I genuinely do. But I think there's a chance. A very small chance, but there is a chance. I think there's a chance. Challenge at least, I think.
Yeah, part of me wants to say you're chatting rubbish, but I have to acknowledge that
I'm just so used to being like realistic as a Newcastle fan because we're not anywhere near there. So I'm just like, I like being outside. I'm like, yeah, I'm just having realistic time. Like we're never gonna be like challenging for top two like ever, like for at least like 10 years. So I'm just happy. Like I'm quite a realistic
you could
fan,
be like
to be honest. Like I'm like non-biased. Like I'm quite like, if I think a team's decent, I'm like, yeah, I think you'll win the league. If I think the team's crap and I hate them, then I'll just be like, you'll never win the league. But yeah, I'm happy to be non-biased. But I genuinely think that Chelsea are going to be like title contenders this year. And obviously they haven't settled in straight away. So I'm currently waiting to see if that happens right now.
Yeah.
Well, I want to get your non-biased, honest views on my club towards the end. But if we was to move on now. If you're still watching, people, please hit the subscribe button and give us a like as well for these two ladies giving us some football knowledge, because it's, again, I wouldn't have thought I'll be having this conversation with two ladies, a year or two ago. But here we are because things are changing. How do you girls find being female football fans with a voice? If I was to come to you first, Eleanor, how do you find it, with your tweets and the reaction you get from males and stuff?
I think it depends on like how outspoken you are. Like I'm not scared to share an opinion, as you know.
Yeah.
And I will also happily admit I was wrong. Like I'm very much, but if I say something that's a bit controversial, it's she's just a girl that doesn't know anything, and I feel like I'm constantly having to prove myself. I never feel like, let's say I make a mistake on a tweet, for example, it will be straight away jump into the fact that I'm a female, that I've made that mistake, whereas a male might not know half the stuff I know but instantly gets respect just because he's a male. I feel like things are changing, but I still think there are a lot of like mentality there where it's still a bit skeptical that your stuff. Like I just think like and then even in real life, like I could be like I know when someone asks me a football question, this is quite funny, I have about a 5-second window to think of something good enough to say so they know I know what I'm talking about. And it's like I have to say something quite crazy. Like back in the day I said I was talking to someone and they were like, they sort of brushed me off, and then I was like, okay, how can I get this to that they know what I'm talking about. I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, like when Poch played a full team against Dortmund and then a second team against Fiorentina in the Europa, it made no sense. And then he said in Greek, he was like, oh, Eleanor does know what she's talking about. And it's just that sort of stuff that, like, I feel like we are changing because we do know our stuff, so we do change that opinion, but we still need to prove it, whereas Mail talking about football wouldn't need to do that.
Yeah. I get what you, and have you shared the same? I know I've seen a few people jumping in your mentions and your replies, Kendall, chatting some absolute nonsense. You seem to get quite a bit of abuse from donuts as well. How have you found it social media wise? And obviously you've got your own YouTube stuff going on as well. So how have you found it on that side of the fence as well?
If I'm honest, like before I did the podcast, obviously when I started the main podcast, I got a lot of it was just like trolling, like, oh, like, how do you know what you're talking about? You don't know. Like, they would literally pick I would say something completely factual and correct, and they would pick like any specific like thing just to pick at for no reason, just to try and prove a point that obviously like women don't know their stuff about football. I think it's what is offensive to me is like when you sort of give an opinion out, and just like Eleanor just said, when people like men are like, oh, so you do actually know like football, and it's like, well, yeah, like I watch exactly the same things you do. I'm not watching a completely different stream. Like, I'm not watching a completely different type of game because I'm a woman. Like, I'm watching exactly what you are watching. I'm hearing what you're hearing. I see the stats that you see. There's absolutely nothing different about how my view is compared to yours. So that's what I mean. Like, I think like now, don't get me wrong, at the past, I would go as far as recently to the past 6 months, the view on female representation within football has massively increased, which I must admit, and I'm really grateful for. But yeah, I think it's just more the like sort of suggestion that because you're a female, you know less. And yeah, to be honest, the trolling that I get on Twitter is actually pretty much not even football related. It's more like they use a footballing opinion to have an opinion about my appearance. So it's like, it's quite odd because they can't have an opinion on my football opinion, because I'd like to think that I'm quite knowledgeable. I know the game pretty well. I've followed pretty much every level of football from grassroots up to the Premier League. So I would like to think that I'm pretty knowledgeable about the game. So that's what I find odd, that they try and use your footballing opinion to then insult your appearance because they think that's the way to go. That's what I don't understand. But I am finding now that a lot of people with women doing podcasts, there's women only podcasts out there now. Obviously like this tonight, it's just female opinions, apart from obviously you, the host. So they are getting a lot more represented, and that can only be a good thing. So yeah, that's if it continues that way, obviously hopefully people will change their mind. But I definitely know since I started being more prominent, like in my opinion, giving my opinions out on a platform, I have gained a lot more respect, and I've met some amazing people just this year alone, and they're really respectful and they've helped me a lot. So yeah, if it can go that way, it can only be a positive.
Yeah, I think because look, I'm a father and I've got my daughter's my eldest. So from my perspective, I like to see this because I don't want her to ever be in a situation or an environment where she feels discriminated against because she's a female. So, but I will be honest, it was a bit of a culture shock for me, hearing females talk about football, because it's not something that I've grown up with. It's not something to say that I thought it was wrong. It's not something that I've been exposed to. And I think that is a lot of the issue with not just football, but with racism and a lot of wider issues, is that many people aren't exposed to certain things, so they don't know how to deal with it. And then some then go and deal with it in the wrong way. I'm always open-minded. So I'm like, all right, let me hear what these ladies have to say and stuff like that. When we started seeing more happening on the TV, and then I really enjoyed the Women's World Cup. That was the first time I ever watched women's football. And I've even interviewed a female footballer myself who plays for Crystal Palace. So I'm all for it personally, because as you say, you watch the same game. I just don't know or hadn't grown up with any females that are into football.
Yeah.
I mean, my mum likes football, but she's the only one. Not many people I've come across like football. So as you say, you watch the same game as us,
Mm-hmm.
you hear everything, and you're knowledgeable, and you've been following it for a long time. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, man, as I said, I'm all for it, and I wish you girls luck. Kendall, are you trying to go further in sports media? Because I
Yeah,
know,
anyone who like knows me, who has known me for years and years and years, like I always, if anyone used to say to me, what's your dream job, I used to say Sky Sports News. Like that was literally since I was like 5 years old. I used to say Sky Sports News. And obviously when I was even that young, like you didn't really see that many female presenters then. It was only as I was growing up a bit more that you started to see more of them.
Yeah.
So I've always said that. And then I didn't really think it was possible, if I was honest. Like it wasn't something that through school that I focused on. I didn't like do media or anything like that. Went to university to do forensic science because that was my crime scene investigation was like my main thing that I loved and growing up, and it was my main interest. So that's what I went to do. Obviously now that's my sort of life's been like sort of turned on its head a little bit, and I've seen the progression you can make. I've seen that women can make it in the industry. I'm a lot more interested in it now because I actually can believe it can be achieved in some respect, even if it's not necessarily Sky Sports News. Obviously, you can do it on YouTube now, you can do it on Twitter, you can make podcasts. So now I am a lot more invested in sort of taking that route. I'm not going to force it. I'm not sitting there like every single day like, right, I'm going to do this so that I'm make it. But luckily it is starting to come naturally the last few months, and I think utilizing social media in that way, if that's the way you want to go, is so important in this like time that we're in. So if that ever became a possibility, I would be absolutely over the moon. I would be like completely living out my dream, but I technically am right now because I get to talk about football whenever I want. On everywhere. So yeah, I'm kind of doing it right now, but yeah, if I could do that further, it would be amazing.
Perfect.
I'll start something, but I'm just too nervous.
Say that again, Elena. It went quiet just a second there.
Oh, I would love to start something, but I'm just too nervous to start.
Okay.
But yeah, it is amazing. So well done.
Well, you're on here today, and I think you've conducted yourself brilliantly. So
yeah,
with all of these things, you just have to get started. You have to get started, and don't worry about it being perfect from the beginning. You just have to keep pushing on and don't let the fear get in your way, because if you let fear dictate you, then you will never get started. So if this is something you want to start doing as well, Eleanor, on a more regular basis, you really just have to start thinking about it, manifest it, and then get it going, because you never know where it can take you, man. And as I said, I've been following you for a while, and I've enjoyed following you. Do you know what I mean? Like your tweets are entertaining. You know what you're talking about. I don't always agree with you, but sometimes I do. But that's what football's about, As I said,
the beauty of football.
this is called everyone's a pundit, because everyone has a view. Everyone has a view, and even when we listen to your pundits on Sky Sports, your Paul Mersons, for example, and I'll be like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But he's an ex-professional footballer who played at a high level and was a good player. But we as fans can still critique what he knows. Do you know what I'm saying? So even you as females, don't even watch what a guy tries to say to you, because as you said, most of the time, some of them don't even know what they're chatting about. Do you know what I mean? But does it scare you? Because, I've read somewhere that the women in football did a survey, and it went out to like 4,000 members. 66% of women have experienced gender discrimination within sports media. So does that scare you in terms of the challenge that you're going to have to face, Kendall, if you do then start to get deeper and deeper into it?
Yeah, it did initially. Like, obviously, as I said, when like mostly males seem surprised that you know about football, and I think obviously it's kind of sad that it's like a challenge to, you sort of like force it on people. Like Eleanor said, she makes sure that she thinks about what she says so that she knows that she sounds like she knows what she's talking about, even though she knows that she knows what she's talking about. And it's like you're always aware that obviously specifically men are looking at you in it like sort of a judgmental light when you speak about football straight away. Like they could speak to their next door neighbour who is a man and have no qualms about what they're saying, even though the next door neighbour barely even watches football. Yet they'll look at me sort of like under like it's like almost like a third eye and be like listening really intently to see if I know what I'm talking about. However, I do, as I've said, think that representation for women in sport in general has massively increased now. So now if a woman wants to get involved in sport and football, etc., I think now is like the perfect time to do it. So the way I see it, it can only progress, and it can only the attitude towards like women in football, not even like women's football, but women in football in general. Obviously, with people like Alex Scott getting more high profile jobs and things like that, that can only push it further and make people see that women do have a place in the sport and they can have an opinion on the male sport. So yeah, I think now is the perfect time to get into it and obviously open the diversity a bit more.
Wicked. So anyway, everybody give us and hit the like button, man, for these two females pursuing their stuff. We wish them all the best. If we was to move on now to pay-per-view sort of proposal that's coming into, well, it's not a proposal, it's actually happening. What do you guys make of it, or you girls make of it? See, look at me there. Oh, apologies.
Guys is unisex, it's fine. It's like
good. So it's gonna be what, $14.95 to watch games. What I found interesting when I was looking into it was, out of all of the 20 Premier League clubs, only Leicester voted against this happening. And they talk about there were some other clubs that were outspoken, your Woodwards for Man United being one of them, but only Leicester actually cast the vote. What do you think about paying extra to watch football games now, especially during this pandemic? Ellen, if it was to start with you.
I just think it's a bit ridiculous. It's way overpriced. Like $14.95 is crazy for the price it is. If they're gonna do that, they should at least make it like a $5 or something. It's just way too much. And I think, considering the situation everyone's a football fan. We all pay our Sky and our BT and whatever. We shouldn't have to pay extra in these unprecedented times. Like, you know, Kendall's had her issues during COVID, like loads of people have, and like now they're expecting fans, after giving games free for so long, they're now expecting fans to pay $14.95 per game. It just seems a bit ridiculous.
So they seem to be needing to recoup the money that's lost in ticket sales.
But it just way too much. I think it's just too overpriced.
Kendall, are you a season ticket holder?
I am, yes.
So from a season ticket holder perspective, what do you think about it, and what have you had to pay to Newcastle this season?
I think it's absolutely ridiculous because there's way other countries. So the podcast that I do on a Monday night, there's a worldwide show.
What's it called? You can shout it out.
It's NUFC Matters. It's on YouTube every Monday night at 7:30. It's the ladies' night panel, specifically about Newcastle, but we do talk about football in general. If anyone wants to check that out,
I'll put that in the description as well, people.
Thank you. So there is a worldwide group who do a podcast during the week, and there's people from Ireland, there's people from America, Australia. There are countries like Canada, for example, I know they do a complete subscription for all Premier League games for $5 a month.
Okay.
That's for every Premier League game. That's not the ones that are on telly. It's for every single one.
At 3 o'clock kickoffs and such.
So why is it now that we are, us as people who live in the actual country where Premier League football is televised, why is it us that's having to pay £15 for one game? For me, for example, and so like my dad and my brother, we're still paying £60 a month for our season ticket and have not had any word about refunds.
Wow.
Have not had any word about credit going on to obviously next season ticket or anything. We've had no word. So that's £60 for season ticket. Some people are probably paying more because we were on a 10-year plan. So our price has not increased for 10 years. So we're obviously probably paying significantly less than other people. That's on top of Sky that my granddad pays for, BT that my granddad pays for, because we all watch the games at his house. Obviously we haven't really been able to for the past couple of months since this all started, but he does pay for it. So that's £150 there, like that we pay at least. So then for now, for especially obviously me and you are affected because it's our game that is the first one to be on box office. So Newcastle Man United.
That's right. On the 8th.
It seems like it's completely overboard. I don't know why they couldn't just do a streaming service like just Amazon Prime, for example, pay sort of £6-7 a month and get all the non-televised games. That would have been way more acceptable in these current times, and especially for clubs like I'm just going to use obviously Newcastle as an example because we are the first game that's going to be on pay-per-view, and Manchester obviously involved as well. They're historically working class areas where income is already not on a high level. And now in these unprecedented times, with obviously they were in the middle of a bloody worldwide pandemic, with increasing unemployment, and now they're expecting people to pay like £15. It's just like it's to me the word is like tone deaf. It's completely tone deaf and it's completely insensitive in these times. And I just think that sort of it won't be reviewed because people unfortunately will still pay for it, and that's what I think they're sort of banking on. But they're against piracy. One of the reasons our sort of takeover failed was because Saudi Arabia was so involved in like piracy issues. But this is just massively promoting piracy and illegal streams because people are not going to pay and they're going to seek out an illegal stream. So I really don't know what their thoughts were on that, like on that sort of on that price tag. I really don't even know where they've pulled that from.
And I think I read somewhere that the EFL have been doing it all season, but they pay £10, which includes Carabao Cup and EFL trophy games. I think the issue I have with this is exactly what you're saying, is the price at the time that it's all coming in, $14.95 for one game is not it's not a small amount of money. And again, it was on The Athletic I was reading, and they were saying that when you've got these billionaires going into a boardroom to discuss £15, they can't quite comprehend what that is on them, you know what I mean? And that's where the issue probably lies. But I personally don't think that it's going to last long. I think it's just an interim solution for October, and I don't think people are going to be paying it. You know, I don't think they will. I think you will I think you'll then start seeking out alternative routes, as we talked about, which is going to start pushing people down the illegal route. And you can't blame people, man. So I've got a feeling that most of what I've seen on Twitter and other social media is people being in uproar about it. So
it's price at the time, like we've all said, the price tag at the time it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, considering that Netflix is like £8 a month, you know, to watch a whole host of different things, and then you're asking to pay $14.95 for just a one-off game. It's it's
but
quite
you might
a lot.
Well, that you've paid that $14.95 to watch.
I tell you what, if I'd have paid $14.95 to watch Man United get slapped 6-1 by Spurs,
I mean, fair enough.
So as a United fan, I could not be paying that type of money because I'm not even confident going over and playing Newcastle now. Do you know what I mean?
It's like teams
they're a team to play, trust me.
Like without even like being funny, like there's teams like, for example, like Burnley and like West Brom who aren't like typically televised. So like what, they're gonna have to pay like £70 a month to watch their 4 games. Like it's like it just doesn't even make sense. But no, now you have both said that Newcastle aren't gonna aren't like a easy team to play. We're gonna just lose so badly now. And I'm gonna blame both of you.
I mean,
if that happens.
You got the draw against us, which I still have
controversial draw.
nightmares about that handball, but yeah.
You know what? I hope the reverse psychology works, but no, I genuinely believe that we're going to struggle because Newcastle typically hasn't been an easy team for us over the last few seasons. You know, you beat us last season, we beat you, but when the Longstaff brothers scored, and we've not had it easy against Newcastle, and we're not playing well. You are on a high, as I said. Callum Wilson's 4 in 4 at the moment, so yeah, not looking forward to What is your opinion of United then, Kendall, in how we've started the season? Ollie, if you was to just give us a quick sum up of Man United, what would it be?
Like, for some reason, I feel like Newcastle and Man United have this like weird, like not derby rivalry. Like, I don't think I know any Newcastle fan who likes Man United and vice versa.
Yes, you
Like,
will hate us.
I feel like since, you know, that like the time in like 1996 when we were 10 points clear at the league and then Man United overtook us at the last minute, I feel like since then, like, just no Newcastle fan likes Man United.
Yeah.
And like for me, it's odd because seeing like Ollie not doing great, I'm like yes, like it's so good to watch. Like, it's so nice. But it's not even just specifically because it's Man United. It's just because like so many of the big teams feel like they're invincible sometimes. And obviously, I don't know if you saw Gary Lineker's tweet when Man United got beat, and he said like it's not any football team's divine right to be good. It's not any football team's divine right to
not in the Premier League.
Yeah, to have this success. So like I really do feel like it's not even just specifically Man United, because it's just nice to see other teams, you know, like have a chance and have a go, and the big teams where the fans like think they're invincible, like Man United, feel like they're invincible and they're actually not. And
we don't think that we're invincible.
Go so wrong.
Little bit.
So, yeah, because I feel like this is going to probably offend you so bad, but since Fergie left, you haven't been the same. And I just think like some Man United fans, this is not even about you, but like some Man United fans like live in the Fergie days and think that they're like still that team, and unfortunately they're not. So
well, I'm not one of those fans. I'm a realistic one.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm a realistic one. And as you say, there's no way we can feel that we're invincible. We haven't been invincible for 7 years. Do you know what I mean? Going on 8. And I was speaking to one of my mates the other day, and he was saying he's on camera saying as if we will go 10 years without winning the league. Now, that may have sound arrogant for him saying that at the time, but you got to understand, you know, for us who have just been living under a Fergie regime where you've dominated seedings for how long, you can't envisage what has happened. You just can't see that. You can't see that happening when Fergie leaves. But we are where we are. It is what it is. We are definitely not the same team. The club isn't run well. We're in the toilet, is what I said on my Man United podcast the other day. And I don't know where we go from here personally, because the cycle keeps repeating itself. You know, LVG, Jose, Ollie, then we get Poch in, the cycle's probably going to repeat itself again.
Excuse me?
He's coming, Elena. He's coming. Just prepare yourself.
We need to discuss this.
But I know you don't like us either, do you, Eleanor? What's your sort of thoughts on United, where we are?
I don't like any rival. I'm not going to lie. I'm one of those fans. I'm like Tottenham and that's it.
Okay, fair enough.
With United, I feel like United and Liverpool are so similar in the way they do feel entitled. You feel like you're going to Old Trafford. Oh, it's such a hard place to go. Yeah. Like one of those.
But you know what I would say? That's you fans saying that. It's not even Man United fans. It's a amount of Arsenal and Spurs and say, oh, we're going to Old Trafford. It's going to be.
That's because of the feel that United fans and Liverpool fans give. I feel like it's very similar in those two clubs, where it's, like you say, you lot do expect trophies and you do expect success. And it's like, you've got to realise other teams are getting good as well. Like, it ain't always going to be just like you lot. And I think you've had a big reality check. Like, since Jose left and obviously you got Ollie, and it all looked fine and rosy at the beginning, and then it all started to go downhill. I feel like you've had a big reality check that, okay, there are a big top 6 and anyone can win anything, really. Even in the whole league, really. If you go through like League Cups or FA Cups, anyone can win a trophy. And I feel like United are having a big reality check.
Fair enough.
Coming.
Well, you mentioned Man United and Liverpool. There's been a proposal that, Kendall, you sent me regarding the Project Big Picture that seems to be spearheaded by Liverpool and Man United to talk about this new proposal. What is it? 25% of the revenue goes to EFL clubs. There's going to be 18 teams. It was 18 instead of the 20. It's just it all seems a little bit mad. and it's, you know, at the moment, whenever you need to pass anything, 14 teams have to agree. But then this will be down to sort of 9 teams are going to be in the ones who can make the decision, and it's going to be your typical top 6 plus, who is it, Southampton, Everton, and West Ham, and then you only need 6 to pass any laws. What is your thoughts on that then, Kendall? I personally don't think it's going to happen, but to even think that these guys are discussing it, and apparently it's not just been since the pandemic, this has been discussed previously. What do you think?
Yeah, this has been going on for a while, because I think when the whole like European Super League like thing was into play, it started even since then.
Yeah.
So I think obviously the Premier League have put a statement out today saying they don't agree with it. So that's obviously a good sign. And that they're disappointed that the EFL chairman, obviously Rick Parry, that he has like said that he agrees with this. Yeah. So fingers crossed, that's a good positive sign. But I think the statement did say that they were open to suggestions on how the future of the league was going to go. So what that means, I really don't know. It's kind of stupid, because like then they're going to have a 24-team championship and a 24-team League One.
Yeah.
Which, like, why? Like, why don't you just keep it as 20? Like, I just literally don't see the point in that. Like, that's so utterly ridiculous. And at the end of the day, it's just they're giving this sort of 25% revenue to the EFL. It's just a complete smokescreen to try and show that they care about the lower leagues. But really, it's just sort of a reason to gain control. Like, so if they give revenue, they seem to look good, but it's just an avenue to gain control for themselves more. I do agree with some of it. Like, I do agree that some of the Premier League revenue should go to lower league clubs, because look what's happened this year. We've lost Bury, we've lost Macclesfield. There's like Bolton nearly went under. So like at the end of the day, Wigan, there's just so many teams that we could have saved. I mean, the Premier League clubs all gave like 250 grand to the Premier League chief who left a couple of years ago. You know, like that could have bailed out a lower league team. So that I do agree with. There was another point where they were going to subsidise away tickets at 20 quid. Yeah. Perfect, great, amazing. Yeah. But then it's literally, there's 2 points. The rest of it's just utter rubbish. They're going to scrap the League Cup. They're going to scrap the Community Shield.
Why?
Why? Like, literally, exactly why. It's completely less competition, less excitement in the season. Lower league teams have like...
Yeah. Lower league teams have a chance in the league.
Exactly. So that's just taken away their accessibility to cups. Yeah. So I don't agree with it. And luckily, it looks like it's not going to go ahead. But that's not to say there won't be any changes anytime soon, because I think there probably will, the way things are going with obviously the new handball rule and whatnot. So yeah.
What do you think about it, Eleanor?
I just think it's like you say, smoke screen. Like the FFP is going to stop them from spending too much of that money anyway, if they was to get that. So it's a bit of a farce. The whole like scrapping the League Cup, a historic cup that, you know, you hear the magic of the League Cup, like you hear like, you know, all Nottingham Forest, like these teams all doing well in the League Cup, they're going to scrap that. They should be looking at other ways to minimize games. If they're looking at minimizing game time, like giving more rest maybe in between games, like not having a team play every 2 days, maybe that might be that might be
international
like these international Nations League completely pointless.
Yeah,
they need to think. The proposals were okay, but the way they're going about it is really wrong. I also think like to have an 18-team league is just ridiculous. Like why are you going to drop 2 teams out? It just seems all a bit strange, and I didn't hear about it until you sent it to me, because I've been on Twitter today, so I didn't hear about it, and I was a bit like, wow, like this is odd. Like I just think the whole League Cup thing really kind of bothered me, because I feel like the magic of the League Cup is the lower league teams doing well in it,
and that gives you a chance to win a trophy, doesn't it, Eleanor?
Even though I would like the Europa personally out of all of them, but
you'll win the Europa this year. You'll win the Europa, I reckon.
Big words.
I reckon you will.
You've got him on camera now, so if that comes off.
I know.
If anyone can break Jose Mourinho, it can be Tottenham, trust me. Like we're just allergic to trophies. I don't know why. But yeah, abolish, and like the Community Shield, like I know it's not like, I mean, Arsenal literally celebrated winning a plate, but it's still really good.
You're back.
I'm back. Just my camera went weird. I still think it's needed, and I think it's just a bit silly the way they're going about it. And I'm glad that hopefully it's not going to happen. But yeah, I think if they're going to look for breaks and stuff, they should do that, but not
in this way.
Yeah, 2 cups that we like to watch.
I think we're gonna see a lot of changes, a lot of weird stuff happening as this pandemic situation continues to progress. Because look, football is all about money. All about money. That's what this all boils down to. And the fact is that they're all losing a shed load of money with the situation the way it is. So they're gonna try and figure out wonderful ways to try and recoup those funds, and we're going to start. I think we're going to start to see a lot of changes. But whether anything lasts long term, hopefully it doesn't. But we're just going to have to wait and see and monitor and check it out. But just before we shoot off, if I was to ask you girls what your top 4 predictions will be and your relegation predictions, if I was to go over to you, Kendall Rowan, what do you reckon?
Top 4. I really don't know this year. I feel like top 4 is like it's going to be like really crazy this year. I think it's going to be Chelsea. I think might win if they gel. If they don't, they'll not be anywhere near. Yeah. Chelsea might win the league. Tottenham 2nd. Arsenal 3rd. Possibly Everton 4th.
No Liverpool win.
Yeah, relegation. I feel like Fulham, West Brom, and could be us really.
Won't be Newcastle.
Fingers crossed not. Probably maybe like Burnley, but they always have a dodgy start to the season, then end up doing well come Christmas. So that's a bit of a funny one. I don't know, but definitely Fulham, definitely West Brom. I think.
You didn't have Liverpool in your top 4. Did you realise?
No.
Weak. Whoa.
She had us 2nd. I'm all for that.
And Man City, you think could drop out as well?
Yeah, I think it's gonna. I really, really think the way that this league has started. I could be completely and utterly wrong. It could be like Liverpool, Man City top 2. But the way that this league has started, and seeing some teams like Leicester, for example, Everton, Wolves are always pretty much up there. I think the way this league has started this year is going to be quite a shake-up, I think.
So I said that Man City could drop out of the top 4 on my last episode. And people looked at me like I'm crazy. But you know what? I'm glad to see that Kendall agrees with me. Elena, what do you believe could be? And look, I can't hold you and say, oh, you said this and this and this. Because at the end of the day, who knows? It's football. You just never know what's going to happen. But yeah, what do you think would be the top 4?
Like, there's that team. Oh, but then there's that team. But then I feel like the league's so open this year that like literally top 4 could be wild. I feel like it could literally go down to the wire as well. So I do think, like Kendall, I do think Chelsea are going to be up there. I think Chelsea could win it. I personally think Liverpool are going to come back. So I do think it could be Chelsea, Liverpool top 2, realistic.
Yeah.
And I think we could finish 3rd. And I think 4th, City, maybe. City could do well. I would say okay, let's go. Yeah, let's do that.
And relegation?
Chelsea, Liverpool, Tottenham, City. I do think. So I don't think City are going to be bad for that long. I don't know.
Yeah, they never are.
Yeah, I feel like we think they've got really bad defense and they're not doing very well. Like their defense is shockingly worse than it's been decreasing. And I think teams are going to score against them, but I just think they won't miss out on that 4th spot. I just think realistically, but I don't know. I could be wrong. Could be you lot.
It's just whether they It's just whether they can score enough goals. With Aguero out, Jesus is out.
That over long term, I think teams drop off, and I feel like teams that know what they're doing will always come back because they sort of know the league, they know what they're capable of, and I feel like they've got that feel in the club. So I feel like they could come back.
Yeah. I hear you.
I just feel like they won't really like settle for finishing 5th or 6th.
Of course,
But,
they can't.
I mean, you never know. They could.
Who do you think will get relegated if you?
Well, like you said, I'm forgetting Everton could finish 4th as well, so we'll add that in.
What about relegation?
Fulham, definitely, in my opinion. West Brom, and yeah, again, it could literally be anyone. I mean, I'm sitting here hoping for West Ham to get relegated.
Of course you are.
I mean, last season, I was like, they are close, you know, they're close to that relegation. So yeah,
I think West Ham they'll be all right this year.
Yeah,
I just see Sean Dyche just doesn't. He's just not able to really improve that squad, is he? Every year
yeah,
he's not able to. So I think Burnley.
yeah. Burnley are going to be within the mix down there, definitely.
Burnley can struggle. I think Newcastle will be all right this year.
Sean Dyche, steady guy, but I don't think he's been able to improve them.
And this is it.
They've just been like pretty the same for like 5 years. Like they've not done anything or not done anything. They've just been there.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it comes to a point where just being there, you're then not going to be there anymore. Like the Bournemouth, for example, they would have sort of just steady Eddie, couldn't really kick on. And then, you know, this is an unforgiving league. And then
like
now
1
they're
year,
not here
it's just
anymore.
not enough.
Yeah, and then they're not here anymore. Anyway, thank you very much, ladies, for coming on and giving me your thoughts on football. It's been an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate it. Again, plug your socials. Eleanor, let them know where they can find you, please.
You can follow me on Twitter. I'm Elena Nicola _XO. Or actually, no, I'm Elena _Nicola XO. I changed it recently. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, it will be in the description anyway. But yeah, do follow some controversial and very angry Tottenham tweets. Sometimes a bit reactionary. I then calm down and say I was wrong.
That's all right. We can always be wrong, and I respect people that can come out and say that they're wrong. So that's all good. That's all good. Kendall, where can they find you, please?
Yeah, it's just at Kendall Rowan. Obviously you'll see how my name's spelt, but yeah, just at Kendall Rowan. That's pretty much on every social media that I have. It's Kendall Rowan, so that's easy for anyone to find me. But yeah, also very reactionary, angry tweets, because there's not a lot of things to be joyous about in Newcastle at the moment. But yeah.
Brilliant. As I said, people, I will put their links up in the description. I am Semps, and this is Everyone's a Pundit. These were my pundits. Thank you very much. Until next week, we are out. Peace.